Well, welcome to SkyWatch TV. It's Monday, August the 1st. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Welcome to a special daily. I'm in for Derek Gilbert. He will return. Believe me, he will return. I'm joined in the studio today with two of my best friends, Christina Peck.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
And her husband and main host of Into the Multiverse, Josh Peck.
Hey, Joe, how you doing? Yeah, we get comments like that sometimes, like, is she the co-host? Am I the main? Because it's Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck. People wonder why Christina's name isn't on there.
Yeah, I don't care.
Really, it's just because when the show first started, we didn't know we were going to do a co-host deal.
Just kind of fell into it.
Rumor has it, I know a guy who works in the studio who might be able to amend the introduction to include her.
We should do that. She's just as much of a host as I am, and actually she's smarter than me anyway. So
Right. I think Derek was the one that said, you know, Sharon is the smart one on Sci Friday.
Yes.
Christina is the one that is the smart one on the Into the Multiverse. But
exactly.
But anyway, okay. So for those that are not aware of this, last week in Colorado Springs, there was a huge Bible prophecy conference that our dear friends over at Prophecy Watchers put on, and of course, my father, Tom Horn, emceed the event. And it was the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, Josh, to which you were one of the main lecturers, correct?
Yeah, it was a blast. It was the first time that I've done a conference with SkyWatch TV, so it was an absolute blast for me, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. My wife and kids were able to join, and surprisingly, that didn't present the challenges that I thought it was going to. They had a great time and got to meet lots of really nice people. But
the kids loved it.
Yeah, I was concerned that your kids might get bored, but they seemed to be like Disneyland or something.
Oh, yeah, they thought it was the best.
So, you know, if I had been there as a little kid, I probably wouldn't have had any fun, but for some reason, they were all about it.
Yeah, it must be in the genes.
They're excited to hear you speak.
Yeah,
that's true. They got to see Daddy speak, which was really cool.
Yeah, they got to see the first one. The first talk that I gave was on extra-dimensional UFOs, and that filled up so fast.
It really did. It really did. And by the way, he's not just saying that. I was there, and I had the chance to work with security on some of the details there. Which, on a quick side note, when we first arrived there Thursday, the day before the conference started, there were some debriefs that took place that it started out like it could be a little bit ominous with some of the, we won't talk politics, but some of the things that were happening in social media the day before, where certain demonstrators might be out to antagonize Christian organizations and things like that. But to Bob Ulrich's credit, he and his team that he assembled for the security at this event, it was one of the most fun and relaxed. There were no agitators. It was one of the first conferences I remember where there wasn't at least one agitator asked to leave the conference. It was really a positive experience, and of course the guests were aware that there was security. And when Bob made the announcement, by the way, for those of you here in attendance, I want you to know you don't know where they are, but you're surrounded by security. There was almost a standing ovation. People were really excited about that.
Yeah.
But no issues there. But while I was out on my rounds, as I was checking over things, checking with our booth, looking over things, I had the opportunity to at least a few minutes to go into one of your lectures. And oftentimes when you're at these Bible prophecy conferences, there will be what is the main auditorium, and then there will be like breakout rooms. And in my mind, I'm thinking breakout rooms, 60 to 125 folks. These were the largest breakout. These in and of their own right could have been main presentations at some of the other conferences I've been. I think the maximum seating was something like 350.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a large church, depending on where you live.
And there were people even sitting on the floors and in the hall.
Sitting on the floors, down the aisles, at the back of the room, standing. And they got kind of hot in there, didn't they, Josh?
Oh, man, it was roasting. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a big guy, so I always run hot anyway, but oh, man, that part was a little miserable, but it was so worth it because people were really excited to hear the presentation and the information I had to give. Also, which surprised me, at the same time, because, you know, a lot of these talks, there's just so many speakers and only so much time, I was going on at the same time as Gary Stearman's main presentation. I think that one was also about UFOs. And so I kind of thought, well, you know, I don't know how many people are going to show up and everything, but it was just packed. So that was a really cool surprise for me.
And one of the things that we heard over and over and over again and this goes to the credit of both of you, is the influence that Into the Multiverse has had on your opportunities to write, an author, and be a part of television. Over and over again, people, man, we love your program. We watch it every week. We just can't wait. I've got a brother that's interested in particle physics and things like this. You guys have been an answer to prayer.
Yeah, people are using it to witness to their friends and family who are more science-minded, but may not know how God would fit into that.
Right.
So people are actually using that as a witnessing tool, which was amazing
awesome
for us to hear.
That's a huge blessing to us as well. I mean, we get a lot of comments and emails and messages on Facebook like, you guys are such a blessing to us. And well, really, that's a blessing to us to hear.
Right,
that you or your family members are being touched by it.
Right.
That's exactly what
when
we
you
want.
see the numbers, when you see the number of plays that are out on social media sites and stuff, you know that somebody's watching. But it's really neat to get that face-to-face feedback. It's often more personal than receiving a correspondence through the internet or something like that, or a quick comment on Facebook or something. When somebody walks up to you and says, "Man, this is really important to me, and I've grown in my walk with the Lord because of the things that you're talking about," which segues into a question that I have. So, if you're out there today watching the program and you're still not up to speed, what is this Into the Multiverse that they're talking about? Why don't you tell us, Christina and Josh, a little bit about what is this program, Into the Multiverse? What does that mean, the multiverse?
Well, basically, it's the study of all of reality, not just our universe. And there are different interpretations for how multiple universes might work. It's not just what's called the many worlds theory, or this idea that science fiction will put out that there's infinite versions of us and all that. We don't even have to go there to get into what higher realities might be. I mean, we say a lot in the show that the term extra-dimensional and spiritual are basically synonymous. Science will use the term extra-dimensional to talk about higher dimensions and things. But when we look at the biblical description of heaven and just spiritual creation, it's essentially the same thing. Most physicists try to take God out of the picture, of course.
Right.
So our job is to put him back where he belongs.
Exactly. He wrote the laws of physics, and so we talk about it.
Yeah. So the idea of what is the multiverse is physical reality, but also beyond. What's beyond physical reality? What spiritual or extra-dimensional existence is right here in this room that we might not be able to see because of our limited perception. And we filter everything through a biblical lens. So this is absolutely biblical, very Christian, stuff. But it's still scientifically up to date. This isn't stuff that, as far as I know, anybody else is talking about through a Christian perspective.
Right.
Now, most importantly, we're on YouTube and Roku and all that stuff, and people need to subscribe. Where can I'll let you know all that. Where can people go to subscribe to our show?
Well, youtube.com/Into the Multiverse is our channel. Roku, we're on the SkyWatchTV channel on Roku. You can find us there. And yes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel when you're on YouTube. And also, you can even go to the SkyWatchTV homepage, and you'll see a picture of Josh and I. If you click on that, it will take you to the SkyWatchTV channel as well. I mean, the YouTube channel.
YouTube channel,
yes.
So they point out the ways that God and his genius creation is relevant to us in ways biblically that we might take for granted. And I'm putting me in that camp, the laity like myself, who struggle to even wrap my mind around some of the things that you discussed that we might be taking for granted every day, but they break it down into a dialogue, into a piece by piece reveal that speaks to the person that's just maybe barely learning about this stuff, all the way up to the ones that have a really, really extensive knowledge of it.
And I'm glad that you brought up the laity of it too, because that's something that we really strive to be able to do, is make this accessible for lay audience. And we don't use the word lay, derogatorily at all.
Not at all, right.
I mean, we consider ourselves
I just
lay
clumped
people.
myself in with the laity,
Exactly.
This is not my area of expertise.
And it's not most people's, and that's totally fine. As long as there's a little bit of interest there, people are going to enjoy the show, and they're going to learn a lot. Because one of the things that we touch on in the show is, where's the world headed technologically?
Right.
And a lot of technology is quantum based, or which quantum just means the smallest of the small, the fundamental building blocks of creation.
Right.
So we study that, but technology is headed towards a way in the future where they're utilizing more of these weird quantum effects, like something called quantum entanglement, where two particles can interact with one another at faster than light speeds,
Right.
which is supposed to be impossible.
Yep.
But again, one of the leading theories is that they're able to do that by accessing higher dimensions or a spiritual existence.
Right.
So we delve into all that and how technology is going in that direction and what it means for us as Christians.
Right.
Because there's a day coming, we're going to have to provide an answer for this stuff. We're going to have other Christians wonder if this stuff is okay, you know, what's acceptable, what's not.
Right.
So we try to use the Bible to help define those lines, because the Bible
Right.
is timeless.
And you did a talk on the double slit experiment. It was part of one of your presentations at the conference, and
The quantum future. Yeah.
yes, and a lot of people wanted in on that one too.
Yeah.
And they couldn't come in.
Right. Well, if you weren't able to make it to the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, that doesn't mean that you can't still see the material that was conveyed there. There is a box set. Now, I don't know how many DVDs this will be yet, but the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference was compiled into a DVD, or is being compiled into a DVD box set that will be available later this year, but it's available now through for pre-order. If you want to get a copy of that, 27 speakers. Who were also some of the other, including Josh, who were some of the other presenters,
Oh,
Josh?
L.A. Marzulli was there. That's a big name.
Dr. Michael Lake was
Yep.
there,
Was there.
talking
Yeah.
about the Shinar Directive.
Bill Koenig, Doc Marquis. There were a lot. I got to meet Joel Richardson for the first time, and he was a great guy. Lots of great information.
70 presentations compiled to a DVD box set. Guys, they're going to make that available at SkyWatchTVstore.com for $149.95. It was recorded live in HD. And if you order that through SkyWatchTVstore.com, right now they're offering a special where you receive all 5 of the Researcher's Library of Ancient Texts. Now that's over $150 value free when you order the DVD box set for $149.95 at SkyWatchTVstore.com. Now that's a limited offer, so if you want to take advantage of that, go to SkyWatchTVstore.com for more details. Now, a minute ago, Josh, you were talking about technology.
Yes.
And how the technology is being used now to move towards an event that and you also have a new audio series about this called The Coming Technocalypse. And you did this, what was it, over 300 minutes?
Yeah, with
This
Doug and Joe Hagman.
Oh, the legendary Doug and Joe Hagman.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what somebody might expect to learn if they pick up a copy of that audio series.
Well, that's the interesting thing too, because during the prophecy conference, a lot of people wanted to see my second talk because they enjoyed the first one, but it was in a smaller room and there weren't as many seats. And I think you were the one that told me there was almost a fight or riot that broke out
During your second lecture. Now, this is a true story. During your second lecture, because people see the first time. You fill a room when you give an oral presentation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's because people haven't really got a grasp of what you're going to talk about, or maybe they've just learned your name and they're going to sit in to see what it is you do. But it's the second one where if they've been a little bored or they didn't quite grasp, or check somebody else out, where you might end up with a half room because people have had a chance to talk. Now, no, it's kind of like he's long-winded or way over my head. But the second one, Josh, now this is to your credit, the second one was not only filled immediately, but there was actually a little bit of an anxiety at the door that others weren't going to get in. And security told me a story that was kind of funny since nobody got hurt. But I guess 2 of the ladies tried to walk right past the police officers that were guarding the front door, and the lead of the security says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, they're full." And she goes, "I'm going in there. I'm going to hear this Josh guy." And he says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, you can't do that. Try and stop me," she says, or something to that effect. I'll leave out some of the other colorful details. But yeah, the joke is now that when Josh packs a room, if you don't get in, there might even be fights and riots to get in. I'm partly kidding.
Right.
You know, but
yeah, while all that was going on, I was in the room preparing, so I didn't know any of that till after the fact. But I did see just the sheer volume of people that were
amazing.
in that little room. And again, it was roasting in there, but well
and that
worth
was
it.
after people had a chance to talk. Some of the
Yeah.
people were the same ones from the first lecture. They wanted to come back. And folks, those, by the way, both of the lectures that Josh gave at the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference are going to be available in this huge box set that come with the 27 speakers and the 7 presentations that are available at the SkyWatchTVstore.com. But anyway, let's get back. So
Yeah.
you're doing your second presentation now.
Yeah, and actually that one to me felt like, not that I would put precedence of one talk over another, but just because of the times that we're living in and just the sheer volume of people that this affects, the second talk, I believe, was the more important one just for the general audience. So I'm glad that it's being offered on this DVD because a lot of people wanted to see it and weren't able to, which, again, it's a good problem to have. It's better to have too many people than not enough.
Well, and that's why they do the DVDs, because they just know that no matter what they do, you're only going to have so many times and slots for presenters. But go on.
Exactly. So the cool thing is after that talk, a lot of people had a lot of questions. And what the Technocalypse audio CD or audio MP3 disc is, it's basically that talk stretched out over 5-something odd hours. So it goes into more detail about quantum computing and the idea of consciousness and how technology might actually create artificial intelligence. And actually, they're working on that now. It explains quantum field theory, which is the basis of all reality as we know it, but it's not popularized by physicists because a lot of them just don't want to deal with it. You know?
Right.
They don't want to try to explain it to, again, a lay audience like you and I. So it's not popularized, but it's the absolute foundational theory for just how reality works. So that it gets into all that. It gets into CERN and the LHC and what a large role that might actually play in prophecy, and in a lot of ways that I don't think anyone's really heard before. Sure, we've heard about portals and things like that, and that definitely could play a big part in it, but there's more to that story that actually goes back to even Ezekiel.
Particle physics, quantum field theory, but here's a question for Christina. Okay, and I'm sure that this could be on the minds of some of the viewers today. Why should Christians care? I mean, we're in a position where we've got things going on in the Middle East. There's things going on politically that seem outrageous. Do we really have time to bother ourselves with basic biblical truths about things like why? I'm setting you up for this question, of course, because I know the answer. But why should Christians care about this stuff?
Well, a lot of Christians are afraid of science because of what the general public has brought out, like with AI and things like that. They don't want to touch it. But that's not all what science is. God wrote the laws of physics and science. It's just study of his creation.
Right.
There's no need to be afraid of science at all. It's not, man didn't create it. Certain people's interpretations are evolution and things like that. We just bring it up through the Bible and back it up with Bible verses that proves that physics, science, it's all from God.
Right. And adding to that, people today, the scientists and physicists today are creating the world that our children, well, even really us and our children and our grandchildren, if the Lord tarries, they're going to have to live in this crazy quantum world that's being developed now. It's a good idea for us to get a handle, at least on the basics of these things now while we still can, because we don't know if we're going to have a chance in the future. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to be experts in quantum physics or that we have to be able to quote Einstein or know all the math. We don't have to, it's not even about that.
We don't have to because we have Josh and Christina Peck.
We got this, guys.
Exactly. Hi, I'm Josh Peck. I do quantum physics so that you don't have to. No.
Yeah. We're going to have to create a SkyWatch infomercial. What else can you do?
Right.
No,
that's genius though, that because and oftentimes what is labeled as fringy or conspiratorial is actually significant elements of truth that are just being concealed on purpose and deliberately from the mass population.
Yes.
And so people can be dismissive, but it doesn't mean that it's less true or less relevant.
Exactly. And the whole UFO topic is actually a really good example of that, because most of the church, and this is just one facet of a lot of different things we talk about, but such as the UFO phenomenon, a lot of churches don't want to touch it. People will go to a pastor having a horrific experience and just want to know how it fits in with the Bible and God.
Right.
But a lot of churches, and not every church, there are some churches that'll actually deal with it, but a lot of churches nowadays just don't want to deal with it, and they'll try to convince the person that, well, maybe it was a dream, or maybe something like that. But what that does is it invalidates the person's experience, to where now that person either has to forget this horrible thing that happened, or they have to go somewhere else, like New Age, who will validate it, and they'll at least give them an answer. It won't be a correct answer, but they'll at least provide an answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's we're really passionate about that, because I mean, Christina, and we talked about this on one of the episodes of Into the Multiverse. Christina's had a UFO experience in her past. Like she's, and you know the story. She's actually seen the craft and a being inside. So she's had firsthand experience. Real people are having real experiences, whether it's aliens or demons or angels or God or, real people are having real experiences, and we can't shut the door on that unless we want to shut the door on what could be somebody's eternity, their souls.
Right.
Well,
So souls are at stake.
There's stories in the Bible through, there's demonic possessions and spiritual things all throughout the Bible. So why does it have to stop there? Why can't it still be going on?
Right.
And it is. And a lot of, like you said, the church kind of, no, we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
So
Well, it's like you said. People are going to have questions, and they're either going to find them in the church or through ministries, hopefully like SkyWatch, or they're not going to find the answers there. They're going to turn to the world, who will give them the answer.
Yes.
It might be the wrong one. It might even lead them through a lifetime of confusion and being lost. But
Essentially, it could lead them straight to hell.
right.
so, guys, if you like what you're hearing, of course, this is just a really broad stroke, general conversation, but if you really like what you're hearing and you want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, again, the Coming Technocalypse audio series is 5 hours.
Yeah, a little over 5 hours.
You can get that at SkyWatchTVStore.com for $19.95. This just came out. Mind-boggling stuff. Also, and we're running out of time, so we got to get through this a little bit quick. Another brand new DVD that's available at SkyWatchTVStore.com is Into the Multiverse, the best of, Volume 1 from 2015?
2016.
2016.
Yes.
2016. Now, this has got Gravity's Rainbow, Dark Matters, UFOs, Mysteries of Entropy.
Yeah, and even special guest Gary Stearman, Michael Heiser. It's the best of every episode that we've done so far, which I think right now we're about episode 22 or 23.
23
so it's
is
the
gonna be our
best
next
12 of those.
12 full episodes
Yes.
of the cherry-picked best of Into the Multiverse. This is a brand new DVD. We just got them about 2 weeks ago, right before we headed off to Colorado Springs. That's available at the SkyWatchTVStore.com for $24.95. And people can expect that it would be a lot of a deeper look at some of the things we're talking about today. Highlight for me very quickly if there's anything we've missed that somebody might expect to see on that DVD.
Oh, well, it's basically the stuff that we've talked about and more. And again, I can't stress enough that it's for a lay audience. So just
we
because,
really break it down.
Yeah, just because it's quantum physics doesn't mean people have to be nervous or afraid of it. And it's filtered through a biblical worldview. So there's nothing, weird. We back everything up with the Bible. But we get into what the Higgs field is, what the discovery of the Higgs boson in 2012, what the amazing thing, what that actually means for us as Christians, which goes back to the Higgs field and quantum field theory and stuff that we don't have time to develop further here. But it's prophetic, it's biblical, it's just basically the stuff that we.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's all around awesome
Of course,
and exciting.
we're a little biased, but
We love our DVD. No, but seriously, listen, on behalf of the SkyWatch team, and you know that I feel this way. I'm not just saying this for the cameras, but we appreciate very much what you guys have brought to the team We think that the inclusion of Into the Multiverse is really striking a chord with viewers. It's totally unique, totally different from anything that's out there. You guys are doing a fabulous job. I think that reflects in the success that the show is having, and we couldn't be more happy. So.
It's a blessing for us. I mean,
really
it's
is.
great for us to actually have an outlet for this stuff. And like you're right, and this isn't to be boastful, but it's just a fact. There really aren't any other shows like this out there anywhere. You either have to pick science or religion, you know, in the world.
Right.
Why can't we have both?
That's right.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Well, folks, Derek Gilbert will be back tomorrow covering the daily news once again. I'm Joe Artis Horn. We've been talking with Christina Peck and Josh Peck of Into the Multiverse. Don't forget you can get both of these new products at the SkyWatchTV store.com. Be blessed, and thanks for watching.